Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly Solfridge, host of the Kids Money Project's premiere show, Let's Talk Money and Kids. Today, I have Sarah Phillips here with the Four Pocket Money System. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Great, Kim. Nice to see you again.
It's great to see you again. Thank you for coming back and talking with us again.
It's always my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great. Well, I know last time you kind of gave a little introduction to yourself, but if you would, for anybody that may be new, kind of tuning in, would you just tell a little about yourself and what it is that you do?
Sure. So for those who don't know me, my name is Sarah Phillips. I am creator of the Four Pocket Allowance and All Around Money Mom. I am a mom in a beautiful blended family of 3 boys. So I have been on the ground. This isn't just theory. I like to talk about all the money lessons we've learned along the way with our own kids.
Great. Well, I know last time we kind of did an overall of kind of an allowance and why we give allowances and what we give allowances for and things like that. And then, but we wanted to kind of break down some of the individual kind of elements of your system and everything. So we thought we'd just start with spending because, well, spending's one of those that everybody does. And I think anybody that's had kids knows, you go into a grocery store or a department store or any store, and you've got those kids, I want this, I want this, I want that. So we kind of think of spending as not really being an issue with kids. They always want, but we do know that it is important to talk to our kids about spending. So can you maybe go into what conversation is that you have with your kids about spending, and we'll kind of get into the rest of that second part of what you do when you're in the store in a little bit. But why is it important to actually have these conversations with your kids about spending?
Absolutely, Kim. And I think you hit the nail right on the head. So often parents think, you know what, when it comes to teaching my kids about money, they have the spending part down pat. It's everything else I need to teach them. But I think there are so many important lessons that we can touch on in the area of spending. So the first thing we need to realize is that once we start empowering our kids to manage some of their own money and they have some money, regardless of how you set it up, they are going to spend their own money differently than they are going to spend yours. Like I can guarantee this. And it's true, do you know what? It's true for us as adults too. I think if we're given money as a gift, we spend that a little bit different than we might spend our own money coming in. So they are going to view this money differently than they've been spending, trying to spend all of your money up until now. So I know last time I talked a little bit about our kids at the movie theater wanting candy all the time, and the first time it was their money, they realized how expensive it was and why they might not want to spend that way. A little experiment we did with our oldest as he got to be a teen, he wanted a bus pass, and he came to us with this pitch saying, can you guys start paying for a bus pass so I don't have to walk to school anymore? And he had all the reasons, carrying things and it's cold, and we asked him, we said, just out of curiosity, and it was more just an experiment for me, if we were to take that $40 and give you $40 every month, and you could either use it for a bus pass or keep the money, walk to school and keep the money, what would you do? And he thought for a moment, and he came back and he said, I would keep the money. And it just shows you he was willing to spend our money. The bus pass was worth it when it was our money, but it wasn't necessarily worth it when it was his money. So we need to start getting into that. There's going to be changes. They're not going to be spending the same way that they were when you were controlling all of the money for them. So the first big lesson that's going to come out of that is money is finite. So here are kids growing up largely in a world watching us tap and swipe, and they just cannot for the life of them understand why you're saying no when all you have to do is tap that card. Like if all you have to do is swipe, what's the big deal? Why are you saying no to me? And it's not until they start to have money, and that's why we encourage cash at first so they can count it and see that it's something that can run out. So we need to be having those discussions with kids that money is something that's finite. There's only so much of it. And that's why you can have, I don't want to say anything, but almost anything, but not everything. So it's about prioritizing, which kind of gets into the second lesson they learn once they start to understand, okay, there's only so much of this money here. Then they might move on to more, okay, how do I choose the one thing that I want? And those are some great lessons in terms of prioritizing. Is this the thing or is that the thing? So a great little experiment that parents can do is either even just go to the dollar store and say, even if this is pre-allowance, and say, I will buy you one thing, and get kids into that habit of saying, okay, there's lots of things to choose from. How do I choose one thing over another? And how do I narrow down that list? Because that can be so overwhelming for kids. And then when they have their own money that they're managing, and they feel that's their money they have to let go of, helping them build those skills of prioritizing, what's the thing that I really want the most? And is it just because it's in front of me right now, or is it what I really want? And then I think the third thing we need to think of are mistakes. Like, kids are going to make mistakes. They are going to take some of this money and they are going to blow it, and they're going to wish they had it back again, and they're going to get the candy, eat the candy, and realize it's gone now, and they have nothing to show for their money. And that's okay. That's part of the process, but we need to be there as parents to guide them, to make sure they're learning from those mistakes. The mistakes aren't the problem, and we shouldn't be stopping our kids from making mistakes. I think, Kim, you and I have always said, we've said this together, they should be making mistakes with their money as kids, with their allowance money, rather than their first paychecks. So let them make the mistakes. But we as parents need to be there guiding them along that spending process, and making sure that they're at least taking away the lesson learned, taking away the what would I do differently next time, and giving them a gentle reminder of that next time, so that they bring it home again.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, we have to let them make the mistakes, but we're there to help guide them. Sometimes, you have to kind of remind them of maybe some of those longer term goals that they may have, that, because kids can have a very short memory span when they find something they just have to have. And so they may forget about that bigger item that they're saving for, that if reminded of that, they might go, oh, you know what? I really do want that. This is suddenly not looking as important. But, if they push and go, I really do want this, fine, that's great. Let them do it. And then, they may realize in about a week, when this is suddenly not the greatest thing ever, and they're that much further behind on being able to get this other thing, they'll go, okay, I kind of get it. Now, they're probably gonna have to do that a couple of times too. I mean, let's get real. It's, adults do this too. So
Absolutely. And I think that's really important. That's such an important point. All these things we're teaching our kids are to help them when they are adults. It's not that there's a kid's system over here of money and an adult one. We really want to make sure what we're guiding them through are to address the issues that adults have with money, and to set them up for that success.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are lessons that they're taking into their adulthood. And if they learn them when they're younger, it should help them make better decisions when they're an adult. So that's the whole point of it. And I'm also glad you mentioned about is how they spend parents' money different from their own, because that is absolutely so true. I mean, they'll spend your money all day long, and it does not matter what it is. They don't even care if they really want it. And kind of when we talk about money personalities in particular, they just want something. They may not even really want what it is. And but yeah, they'll spend your money all day long, but if it is their money, they think about it a lot differently.
They sure do.
Oh yeah. Well, so, we're talking about spending and everything. And so now we're having them spend their money. So, they pick up that item in the store, and it's, let's say it's $12 or something. But, when you get to the cash register and they ring it up, it's, it's $12.95 or $13.25 or whatever it is. Taxes are something kids, obviously, they're not paying yet. They're too young. But when they're starting to spend for the first time, they are kind of being introduced. So how do you start that conversation with your kids?
Oh, taxes. Like, don't we all just cringe when we hear that word? It's the one reality that's out there. So if we're setting our kids up for the reality of money, I don't think we can get away from the issue of taxes. And you want to have that discussion before they hit the store, because if they have $20 in their hand and they find that item that's $20, you don't want to be the one to break it to them that it's actually going to cost a little bit more. That it's a hard lesson, and one that's really hard to get your head around. So what I encourage you to do is not only tell them, look, it's a reality, it's coming, it's going to cost more than you expect, but to have the conversation about why we pay taxes. So no one's going to love it. Chances are I don't love paying taxes. I'm sure everyone out there doesn't either. But it's a reality. So it's all about the mindset that we have going into it. So the more our kids can understand the why we pay taxes, it makes it hurt a little bit less. And so it's great one time when you're out going for a walk, start to look at all the things that you benefit from that we don't pay for. So the roads, the sidewalks that are taken care of. I live in a snowy climate, so snow removal on those roads, our garbage collection, our public education system. If they go to public ed, who pays for your teachers, police and firefighters that are they're available. If we kind of couch it to kids that these are all the things that are around us, and it's the government that has to pay for those, and where does the government get its money? Well, it gets it through taxes. And so when we buy something, we give a little bit extra to help pay for all of those things. So when they can start to see it, start to understand a bit where it's going towards, it may not be, it's not a choice. We don't get to choose whether or not we pay taxes, but at least we understand why we're paying it. It's not just, it doesn't feel quite the same like the money's just being taken from us. So it's so great if we can sit down, have those conversations. If there's something they have in mind, you can do the math with them together. It can be a great math exercise. Our teachers do an amazing job of trying to make math real for kids and give them real life examples, but nothing is more real than a real life example. So if you're going to the store and you have $20, what's taxed on $20? Or if it's younger kids that aren't that sophisticated in math yet, maybe it's learning how to punch that into a calculator, and that can be just a fun little activity together. So the tax discussion should be taking place to avoid those surprises. We want to set our kids up for successes when it comes to money, so we want to avoid those surprises when we get to the cash register.
Oh yeah, well, and like you said, if you explain what they actually are, it makes it much more, they may have actually already heard you complaining about taxes, or, especially maybe when it comes property tax time, if you own a house and you're paying your property tax, and oh, I got to do this, or, here in the United States, April 15th, our tax day, oh, I got to write the check to the IRS. Chances are they may actually already have a negative connotation to what taxes are, because, not doing it on purpose, but we have actually already put that in their head that taxes are this evil, horrible thing that we have to pay. And they do need to understand that they are actually out there for a reason, and that they are paying for things like our schools and our roads and our police and the firefighters. And, it's important that they understand that they actually have a purpose, and it is a good purpose.
Yes.
And, and maybe just kind of watch what you're saying, particularly when you're around your kids. Believe me, nobody likes paying taxes. It's just one of those things. But, but around your kids, maybe try not to make it as a negative connotation, because they do need to learn and understand what that is. So, well,
absolutely.
I appreciate you explaining that. Now, we kind of touched on earlier, about the kids when they're in the store, they're tugging on your leg. They found this new thing they just have to have. And, I think every person, even if they don't have kids, has probably experienced that at some sort with a niece or a nephew, or even a little brother or little sister or something that they took to the store, that they always find something they just cannot live without. So do you have any tips or tricks or anything like that you kind of might help parents in that situation either get out of that situation, or how to manage that?
Absolutely, Kim. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about, because we can talk all day about the importance of kids prioritizing, but until we talk about what that actually looks like and the reality of it, I can see how, as a parent, sometimes you say, well, that's nice, but what does that actually mean for me? So here are the top tricks that I've come up with. First of all, let's set our kids up for success. So if you're trying to teach your kid to maybe curb some of their spending, let's not put them into temptation's way. If I'm trying to eat healthy, I don't go to the candy store, and I try not to stock our fridge or our cupboards upstairs with things I shouldn't be eating. Maybe frequent trips to the toy store are going to be counterproductive. So let's set our kids up for success. If we don't want them spending a whole lot, let's not tempt them with a lot of things if we can help it. My next best tip, when you're in the store and the kids are in that moment of, I want this and I want that and I want that and I want that, and every aisle you go up and down, they want one of everything. the best thing you can do is take out your camera and say, great, let's, everything you see that you'd like, instead of putting it into our cart and bringing it with us, let's take a picture of it. And so we'll take a picture of this one and we'll take a picture of the next one, and anything. You have free reign. Anything you want me to take a picture of on my phone, I will happily snap that picture. And the idea there is that you want to give kids a little bit of distance, physical distance, and a little bit of time away from that item. It's so easy to get caught up in that moment. And where I first developed this trick, we actually were very fortunate to go to Disney with our kids. So you want to talk about a place where our kids see things every 2 seconds that they want. So we got in the habit all day long. I will take whatever picture you want, but it stays there. And then at the end of the day, we can revisit. And it's amazing. Just giving them a couple hours away from it, the physical distance away from it. We'd sit down at the end of the day and look at the pictures. And I'd say 90–95% of the things, no, I don't really want that. No, I don't really want that. It's just so easy to get caught up in the moment. And going through that process is so great for kids too, because they start to realize, maybe not the first time, maybe not the 10th time, but the 50th or 60th time, they start to realize, wow, things I think I want in the moment, sometimes I actually don't really want. So buying that time away from it, that space, is a fantastic trick that you can use. Another one, similar idea, is to put it onto a list. So if they have a birthday coming up, if you celebrate a holiday with gift giving like Christmas, it's great to just say, well, how about, if you're not sure, why don't we put that on our list? Why don't we add that to our birthday list, even if it's 2 or 3 months out? And again, a month before their birthday, I'll review with my son, look, here are all the things that you've put onto your list. And 90–95%, no, I don't really want that. No, I don't really want that either. So it's buying that time away. And sometimes it's just easier to let go, knowing that there's a picture of it, knowing that it's written on a list, knowing that it's not just going to get forgotten. It's a little bit easier to leave it behind, to walk away, knowing that it's been captured somehow. So it's really teaching kids, and I'll tell you, even as an adult, these are tricks that I use. We talked earlier about giving our kids tips that they can use as adults. When I see things, when I'm scrolling Facebook and I see things coming up that I'm interested in, I add it to my little wish list. I keep a little wish list on my phone in the notes section, and I just add it there. And again, giving myself that space away from it when it's not right in front of me. A lot of times I realize it's not something I really want either. So we're setting our kids up really with skills that they're going to be able to use in the long term. And the last trick I have is, if you have to go somewhere and there's going to be the toy section or a distraction section, whatever that may be for your child, is look ahead and see if there's something that you do need to buy for someone else. Because often if kids have a mission, they want to go through that process. They want to look at things and evaluate things. And it doesn't even have to be for themselves sometimes. If they have a birthday party coming up, well, we're going to be walking around, why don't you pick something out for Johnny or Susie's birthday as a gift? And so they get to go through that process and immerse themselves in the toy section, and it's a positive experience for them. They get to choose something. They're learning about giving and empathy at the same time. So it's another great way, if you find yourself, you can't avoid the toy store, you're going to be there, is giving them a separate mission that is different than spending their own money. So those are the best top 4 tricks I'd say that I have for dealing with kids in toy stores or other high temptation areas.
Oh, well, I love the taking the picture aspect, particularly when you were talking about Disney, because in situations like that, I mean, there is so much. I mean, every time you turn the corner, there's something new and something different. And so what they find at 9 o'clock that morning, is going to be great at 9 o'clock that morning. But at 3 o'clock that afternoon, they found something that was 10 times better over here. And you could get yourself, particularly at a place like Disney, if you bought everything they loved, my gosh, I don't even know what that total would be at the end of the day. It would be scary. And with kids, they can't understand that concept of, I don't know for sure if I might find something better. So I love the take the picture, because I think that does get them past the, it's going to be forgotten. They're never going to go back. We won't go get it. And, and that thing they found at 9 a.m. may be that one thing they want. I mean, that may be it. But the problem is, what if it's not? And what if that thing at 2 or 3 or 5 was actually so much better, and they've already bought the thing at 9 a.m. So I love that lesson of taking a picture, because I think to them, they're like, it's not forgotten. So I love that. Thank you for that. That is so great.
My pleasure. And like I say, it's all firsthand. These are all things we've actually done and succeeded with. So I'm happy to share them with everyone else.
Right. Well, and like you said, like adding them to a list, whether it's birthday or Christmas or, another holiday that you may give gifts for, it kind of helps the parents out have some ideas of what, the child may want. And like you said, you might want to kind of review it and see, like you said, about 90% of those things they have long since forgotten about because it wasn't that important. So
Yeah,
you want to kind of review that with them before you go shopping. But yeah, it gives the parents some great ideas too. So
absolutely.
well, thank you so much for coming here and talking to us a little bit about spending, because I think, like we said earlier, spending is something we think they've got down, but how to spend is quite a bit different, and that's what we're trying to help parents with in teaching their kids, to give them those life lessons that they will take into adulthood. Because I mean, even adults struggle with a lot of these things. I mean, we all see something in the store at times and go, "Oh my gosh, I want that." And I know I've gotten a lot better with going, okay, do I really is it just because I'm here and I see it and I have this great idea, and just walking away, and like you said, 90% of that time it really wasn't what you thought it was when you initially saw it. So yeah.
Absolutely. So add it to your list next time, Kim. I'm telling you, it's a life changer.
It is absolutely. Well, thank you again. And I know you have something called Money Mail, if I am not mistaken. You want to tell us a little bit about that before we head out?
Sh- Sure. If people are enjoying our discussions, want a little bit more, I do send out a monthly email called Money Mail. It is my top 5 finds for the week. So certainly the Kids Money Project has been featured in it as one of our great finds. But whether it's books I'm reading, great videos on YouTube to help kids along the way, other great entrepreneurs or businesses, anything that I found, I share 5 items every single month, and I would love to have anyone sign up and follow us along. So that's available at www.forpocketallowance.com/moneymail, and we can add the link below this video.
Yes, we will. We'll add that for you because, yeah, I think all parents can use those little tips and tricks and things like that to get them through, especially some of these harder times, like, well, the holidays. That's always kind of an interesting time around with kids. And so any of those things that can help out are great. So yes, we will add that link just below this. And well, that pretty much wraps up our spending here, but I know we're going to see you back here because we're going to go through each one of your 4-pocket allowance systems. So we started with spending because we figure that's something that every parent is having to deal with their child probably almost daily. So it's a big one, but we're coming back. We're going to hit them all. And so thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you here real soon.
Always a pleasure. I look forward to next time. Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you. Bye, everybody, and we'll see you soon.